Hi, this is Larry Slagle with another executive session of Massillon Magazine. I'm here today with John D. Ferrero, the Stark County prosecutor. How you doing, John?
Very good, Larry. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Beautiful afternoon. Nice to see old friends.
Good. It's good to come back and see my good Massillon friends every
That's
once in a while.
true.
Even though I come back here and
Live.
to live every night, but
Well,
it's good to see you during the day.
Yeah, and one thing's important. You did grow up and raised and everything else in the fine town of Massillon, Ohio. Isn't that correct?
Yes, I was an old West Sider by the old Dairy Queen there on 8th and Main, and
Yeah.
it's the West Side's the best side. I know you were probably an East Sider, huh?
I am an East Sider. I'm a cake eater. But we always have these jokes in Massillon about this. But yeah, I just knew you grew up here. And how long you been county prosecutor now?
I got appointed in 2003
Right.
for Bob Horowitz, who was elected probate court judge at the time, and I was appointed and been elected 3 times since then.
Wow.
And I'm running again for the 4th term this year.
And you were a Massillon city law director prior to that?
Yep.
Had-
1988 to 2003, I was a Massillon law director and city prosecutor. That's part of their duties. So it was a good,
Transition.
transition. You did city prosecuting work, and then you went over into county and did the felony work then.
How do you like being prosecutor?
Oh, I love it. As Bob Horowitz always said to me, he goes, it's the best job in elected officials that he can think of. Even though he told me he would never run for judge, he did. I thought he'd be there forever, but it did open it up, and I had an opportunity, and I grabbed it, and I'm glad I did.
Well, it's always good to hear that the public officials that like their jobs and like to serve the public.
Sure. Yeah, it's a challenge each day. So
Well, What's the biggest challenge facing Stark Countyans today that really we did not have 20 years ago?
Well, I think it's no secret that it's the heroin crisis that we have. I checked with our coroner. I think we've had 30-some deaths already this year on overdose, and how many other overdose that people were able to be saved. It's just become an epidemic. We never seen that. The reason being is heroin's cheaper than cocaine, and they say it's a ultimate high, and once these people get hooked on it, it's
Wow.
very difficult to get off it. But it's not as bad as if you read up in Summit County where 14 people I think died in the last month or so because of a bad batch. But it's a never-ending battle, and when you get a drug crisis like that just leads to more crimes such as break-ins and robberies and things like that. So it's just a mess. Once you don't have anything, you're desperate. You'll do anything to try to get money.
Has that led to an increase in the criminal caseload in the Stark County Common Pleas Courts?
Yeah, I think overall it has. We average about around 2,200 felony indictments a year, and we're right around there. But still, we handle a lot of cases, just investigations where we don't, have to file charges right away. But it's been busy when. Working with the FBI, the Sheriff's Department, local police agencies where they want to bust the dealers. It takes a while to work up a case, so we got to work on a daily basis with search warrants and things like that to try to nail these guys.
Is there also some impact on the local city police force and the village police forces as well?
Oh yeah, I mean I think Massillon, unfortunately, doesn't have a detective bureau per se, and I think that's important. Hopefully, if they get some money, that's reinstituted, because it's very important to have a detective bureau, because you got to work on these cases. You can't just have one guy go on the road and say, "Hey, work on this case" when you get time with it.
You need somebody designated for that purpose.
Correct, and that's where detective bureaus come in handy. Canton has one, Alliance has one, and Alliance really has a lot of drug-related arrests. Canton does too, and they work their cases. And in Massillon, we're hoping that the detective bureau will someday be reinstituted to what it used to be.
Now, the prosecutor's office really doesn't have much input on the ground level activity, does it?
Yeah, I mean, we usually, how the usual work is, like say a police officer will arrest somebody, it'll go to the municipal court. Right. Say here in Massillon, you get picked up for cocaine possession. You'll get charged with a felony. You'll go in front of Judge Elam or Judge Centrone, and they'll determine whether there's probable causes, bind it over to the grand jury, and then we present the evidence to the grand jury, and then they determine whether that person should face that criminal charge in common police court. So it usually starts at the municipal court level. Sometimes we handle cases directly if it's really a big case where especially the sheriff's department, because they're technically our only client, the county, because they're our police department. So we work with them, and we do present cases directly to the grand jury. We won't send them to Camp Municipal Court or any place like that.
But some people, that aren't as familiar with the criminal process may think that you actually have an active investigatory role before they're charged, but really that doesn't happen, does it?
Not true. We try to be independent. We have to be independent
Right.
because we have to then present the case to the jury, and you don't want to get into conflict cases, and you don't want to. I've heard some people say they want to. Running for prosecutor wants to ride in the police car with the police department and help make arrest. You can't do that. I mean, that's just a no-no, because you're going to be a witness, and then you won't be able to prosecute the case. So we ask, if someone will call me and say, "Hey, John, I know somebody that is selling drugs." I said, "Okay, we're at Massillon." I'll call the Massillon police up and say, "Look, you guys start investigating that. Once you get investigated, come to my office and we'll look at it. If you need any assistance, we'll help you. But you guys, the police department, has to go out and do that."
And it's not only the criminal side of the law that the county prosecutor handles, also handles some of the civil aspects, doesn't it?
That's correct. We have over 100 statutory clients, such as the Board of Elections, the Jobs and Family Services, all the elected officials, the county commissioners. So by statute, there's over 100. Now, some of them go and hire their own attorneys, but they still call us. And the biggest request we get on that is for open records. You'll get a little township that'll get requested all these records, and they'll call us, and which we want them to do, to say, "Hey, this record you don't give out, this record you have to give out, this, you can redact this information from that." So we probably get between 5 and 10 calls a day. Just say, "Hey, I got a request. What should I do, or how should we do it?" And we'll advise them accordingly.
Now, do you personally handle all this?
No, we have a whole civil staff, criminal staff, a juvenile court staff,
And people dedicated to certain duties?
I'm sort of the manager of the law firm, where you try to put out the fires. If there's some employee issues, I got to take care of it. If there's a problem with a client, I got to take care of it. But a lot of times, like the commissioners will want me there for the meeting and say, "Hey, get down here. We want you, not one of your assistants." And a lot of clients sometimes will request that I come to a meeting instead of the assistant. So it's we got to wear a lot of hats, and you got to know a lot of law. And but luckily, I have a great staff.
How large is it?
Well, we have, let's see, there's 28 attorneys there, which is one of the largest law firms in Stark County. And our support staff's probably in the 40. So we have close to 70 people altogether that work in the prosecutor's office.
Are there any community outreach programs that the prosecutor office is involved in regarding various issues?
Yeah, through my victim witness division, we have Jim Knight does a lot of the neighborhood watch. If they want to form a committee if there's some crime in the area, he'll go out and tell them what to do and how to do it. He'll go and speak to organizations. We also have SERVE. I'm sure you heard about that. It means Community Initiative to Reduce Violence. That's sort of attacking the gang situation in Canton, mostly Massillon and Alliance. We don't see too many problems with gangs. It's mostly in Canton, but we're there. We have Pastor Moss, who's the head of that, and he's works through my office. If there's a problem at Massillon High School between certain groups, he'll come over and talk. I know he plans on going to all the football teams when they start practice, and make a speech at the beginning of the year to them to say, "Hey, look, stay out of trouble. Keep your nose, clean, and play football, and then stay out of that trouble. Don't get kicked off the team." So he tries to, tries to get out there and talk to that. Juvenile prosecutors, they try to get into the schools to talk about the drug situation, bullying, things like that. So we try to make a presence in the community.
And you're not just an island by yourself in this. You must communicate with other prosecutors' offices across the state and even possibly across the country.
That's correct. And I was fortunate last year. I was the president of the Ohio Prosecutors Association, which it's the 88 county
Counties.
prosecutors, and I was the president. Even though probably I'm a Democrat, but probably 90% of them are Republicans.
Oh, really?
I have the distinction of being elected by them.
Okay.
So,
That is good.
But you do make friendships no matter what kind of political party you are, and I can call them up on cases, and we email each other, and it's very good. And
Well, other than the actual election process, there isn't very much politics that comes into play in the prosecutor's office, is there?
no, you got to, and you have to. I think my office is the one that's got to be real careful, because a lot of my clients are of the other political
Republicans.
party, and,
Right.
and I got to give them the confidence that, hey, I'm going to treat you fairly. I'm not going to play politics, and I think I'm happy to say you can go ask any of the county officials if I've ever played politics, and I don't do that. We're attorneys, and we take an oath to represent our clients to the fullest, and we don't care what political persuasion they are, and that's what we got to do. And
Well, that's good to know, because, again, I'm sure some public misconception is because you're running perhaps as a Republican and or a Democrat in this office, that somehow you'll let that influence any of the decisions you make, but
Yeah.
no prosecutor would do that.
No, I think if you do that, you shouldn't be prosecutor,
Okay.
and I don't think you would, because that would be brought out in elections. And like I said, I've ran 3 elections before, and I've been accused of a lot of things, but that's one thing I don't been accused of, treating a county official unfairly.
What's the best thing you like about the job?
I think it's just the variety of what comes in the door each day. I mean, it's not boring. You never know what's coming in next. We've had just when you think you've seen the worst case, the next one comes in, and just helping victims of crime. I think that's one of the strong points of my office. Bob Horowitz and Paula Smith, she passed away last year, had a very strong victim witness program where they treated the victims with dignity, and I think that's what you need to do, because you don't want them to feel like they been a victim of a crime twice.
Right.
You want to someone gets their house broken into and held at gunpoint. It's a very tragic experience, and you want to help them go through the legal process the best you can.
Is there any reason that any individual listener to this or watcher of this program would have any reason to contact the county prosecutor's office?
Well, you can contact me anytime on something. Like I said, if you think something's going on, a crime of some sort, I will lead you in the right direction. Like I said, we don't investigate, but I
Right.
will tell you which detective in Canton to call to get things going.
But really, the first step probably should be the local municipality or village or township in which they live.
That's correct. And but I get and we're always open to, if you want some outreach programs, call us. We're available to go talk, and I know I've talked to a lot of groups regarding the heroin situation. There's a organization out there where the parents of the people who have overdosed and died, they get together. It's called Solace, and I spoke to them, and tell them, hey, I think the best thing we can do here right now is try to stop the people who are selling this stuff, and we have successfully convicted one seller of heroin and on a manslaughter charge, and went to prison. So
Wow.
that's what we have to do, and we were one of the first in the state of Ohio to
do
convict
that.
somebody like that.
Well, that's a good way to proceed, because you read every day particularly out of the Beacon Journal I mean, it's just astonishing the number of people that are dying and or getting treatment for overdoses.
Yeah, it's terrible, and you don't know. Like I said, when you're hooked on that stuff and you buy it for cheap, you don't, and you shoot it in your arm, you really don't know what's in that. What's in there? I think up in Summit County, they said they had it was mixed with a elephant tranquilizer.
Oh my gosh!
And I heard that was like 60,000 times more powerful than heroin. In that, an elephant, if you want to tranquilize it, you better have a lot of medicine in it. So they caught that batch was with that, and that's why so many people died. It was just so powerful.
And people don't, obviously they don't sell it that way. I mean, they don't, none of these dealers are telling their buyers that this thing is so potent it could kill you. I mean,
no, I mean, I guess there's no way to really test it out. I mean, you have to stand unless you shoot it up, and then it's too late. And,
yeah, I think one of the good things that I've seen more recently in some of the obits, they're actually talking about people that their death was caused by their addiction or an inability to deal with it, and I think that's probably a good thing, because people need to know when these younger people, and I think for the most part they're in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, that a lot of these deaths are being caused, they're certainly avoidable.
Yes, and
first, by never getting addicted, but
yes,
second, to be aware that if you are addicted, you should be careful about where you're getting your drugs from.
Yeah, it's that I just saw one in Stark County, an obituary like that. A parent did that, but that's sort of something around the country that's being used. That's hopefully to wake these people up. That hey, this was a good-looking, nice kid at college, 20-year-old son. He died because he tried heroin. And the thing is, and it's a misconception too. A lot of people think that this is in the bad part of town or whatever. No, these are kids that are from wealthy families that go to good schools, good colleges, and they're dying. And it's just not happening.
It's tragic. It affects anyone that they get that addicted or they try something like this that in today's world is just as likely to kill you as it is to give you a high, apparently.
It is. It's a terrible drug, and it's basically you're playing Russian roulette with it basically nowadays.
Well, this has been a very interesting conversation. Always a pleasure to see my old friend John Ferrero. We grew up in Massillon, although he's a little bit younger than me, much handsomer. But the county prosecutor is a very important job. I'm sure that if you contact his office, he can send you to the right place, or maybe even have pamphlets. You could tell him a little bit about the various programs you have that could be mailed.
Sure.
So, anything else you want to share with the listeners?
Nope. I just appreciate the opportunity to say a few words, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, John. It's good to see you again.
Thanks, Larry.